Live from our studios here at Joy News in Kokomlemle, this is Joy News Prime. Coming up, meeting between the Pensioner Bondholders Forum and Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta ends in deadlock as he maintains the ministry's position not to exempt pensioners from the debt exchange program.
Well, he hasn't gotten any other response to show that he thinks that we should take, we say, well, our members have looked at all.
We'll also tell you all about the displeasure of former Chief Justice Sophia Akuffo describing the inclusion of pensioners as wicked, rude and unlawful.
One, I find this wicked, I find it disrespectful, I find it unlawful, I find it totally wrong, period.
Also heated exchanges between minority and majority leadership on the floor of Parliament as the NDC accused the majority of seeking to fraudulently lay the EC's controversial CI.
Mr. Speaker, it is expected that the CI will be laid.
Speaker, I vehemently oppose the adoption of this deceitful, dishonest and smuggling report.
We have details as the EC's hope of laying the CI fails, with Deputy Speaker of Parliament directing that the laying of the EC's new CI is taken out of the business for next week.
What has not been agreed should be excluded. If you discuss and you agree, the leader can bring another statement on what has been agreed. So I think to make the way forward, let's exclude what was not part of the business arranged for the week.
Also in this package, MPP flag bearer hopeful Alan Chermantin says Ghana would have raked in $25 billion revenue annually if its presidential special initiatives had been taken seriously.
If we had continued with the PSIs 22 years ago when I introduced the PSIs, by now, every year would have been making a minimum $10 billion a year.
Also, promotions in the service will no longer be based on long service, but rather on hard work and dedication to duty. That's the Inspector General of Police describing critics of the new method as arrogant and empty.
Type of promotion that was done probably to some few people at headquarters and others, we changed it. The commanders, they know the people who are killing themselves for this job. Identify them as long as they are at least 2 years in their rank and promote them.
We're live on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I am Emefa Apawu. Please stay for details. For staying with us, let's settle for details now. And it was the meeting that the Pensioner Bondholders Forum were hopeful they will get some finality to, but it ended in a deadlock. The Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta has ended inconclusively that meeting, stating the ministry's position for the second time this week in an attempt to convince them to sign on to the domestic debt exchange program. But he was unsuccessful on all two occasions. Day 5 of the picketing was joined by former Chief Justice Sophia Akuffo, who described the inclusion of pensioners in the program as wicked, rude and unlawful. There's more on how today's picketing went in the following report.
It is the third time this week at the Ministry of Finance in Accra. Pensioners have vowed to picket until government exempts them from the domestic debt exchange. But today, there is a star picketer. The former Chief Justice Sophia Akuffo had chosen silence for many years, but she couldn't keep her cool and look on for her peers to be handed a raw deal. So she broke her silence.
We've seen these sort of things too many times. I'm over 70 now, and I'm no longer a government employee. My mouth has been ungagged, and I'm talking and I'm saying what I feel. And it's important that the elderly in this nation should be respected. One, I find this wicked, I find it disrespectful, I find it unlawful, I find it totally wrong, period.
She vowed to even go to court as the last resort if government fails to listen to pensioners.
To court? Because there's a contract. And the contract said something. You did not, certainly in what I signed up, there was no clause in there which says when the government becomes and thinks it has become bankrupt, it will not pay you. So long as government has properties, I can sue them and I can claim my entitlements through there.
So she joins the rest to sing the national anthem.
We are singing the anthem.
The finance minister has a position.
The challenge that we have is that we have an economic crisis. We do have an economic crisis. And I think if people truly want the elongated bonds, that's easier to do. It's less burden on us.
The former Chief Justice is unhappy with this position by government.
Why are we in the mess we are in? Nobody has fully explained to us. Yes, debt. Okay, fine. We took debts. What was it used for? Where's the accountability? Exactly what was it used for? You're not telling us about how you're going to be able to make things better, but just that help me and I help you. No, you help yourself first. Let me see you doing something serious.
Wearing long faces, pensioners brood over how they'll be affected if the government includes them in the debt exchange program.
We are retired. This is our only source of income. If you take it away, are you signing our death warrants? It is just not right.
Some could not hide their excitement about having a former Chief Justice adding her voice to their call.
At her level, if she has stopped whatever she needs to do and come and support this cause, then they need to take a second look at it.
Sophia Kufu vows that today will not be the last time joining her peers to picket if the finance minister fails to do the right thing. After hours of engaging the finance minister, the convener of the group, Dr. Edu Anani Ntwi, informed the media that Kenufoyate's position had not changed.
Well, he hasn't gotten any other response to show that he thinks that we should take, and we say, well, our members have looked at all. Your main concern of tradability, they say don't worry about tradability. They are not interested in that. They want to keep their coupons, their bonds, and get their coupons as they are getting. But if you exempt us, we are more assured than if we decide to opt out. Now we are still want exemption, and we keep on doing what we are doing until we get exemption.
The pensioners packed away their placards, promising to return on Monday.
James Aveji's report there. Well, economist and former rector of GIMPA, Professor Stephen Adair, says his worry over the country's current economic challenge is not the quest to get an IMF bailout, but what becomes of our economy after the bailout. Government has over the last few weeks been struggling to meet IMF conditionalities to be able to get a loan from the fund, with intense resistance from domestic creditors who say they want to be exempted, like you've been hearing. Professor Adair, in a yet-to-be-aired interview on PM Personality Profile, says he fears we will not learn any lessons from our current situation.
The IMF is only for stabilization. And let me tell you, we are going to go through a hard time for 3 years.
Yeah.
And if we don't behave, and we go and borrow, over-borrow,
we'll be back to square one.
Back to square one. If we don't stop our corruption, we'll be back to square one. If we don't have good development direction, we'll be back to square one.
Interesting.
So what we need, for me, the pain is that will we learn?
Yeah. Do you foresee that?
Yes. That is, I can't predict. The past is not a good guide. In other countries, by now, about 10 people, and the people are in Ghana, their job is just thinking about the economy. How, when you try this, it doesn't work, then immediately there is no national brain think tank.
Yep.
We have now in Ghana, it is NDC brains to criticize and NDC brain to MPP brain to try to manage it and things. But this is what pains me, that even your brain is not respected unless you are wearing red and blue. Is that the MPP?
Yes, and white, or green, white, and red and black, correct?
Yes. And this is the time Ghanaian brains must be mobilized.
Yeah.
Because after this transition, the actual development of our nation still remains. And we cannot, some of us actually, you ask me, the pain is that are we going to die to leave a Ghana which is not developed for our children and grandchildren to also go through this vicious cycle?
Well, the finance minister is expected to brief Parliament this week or the next week to be able to give Parliament updates on the domestic debt exchange program following his summoning. But we've been told in Parliament today that that date, that's February 14 date, has been rescheduled to the Thursday. Now on to some other stories. And 4 persons, 3 public servants and 1 civil servant, have been arrested and charged by the OSP for failing to comply and declare sources of income in contravention of Regulation 20 of LI 2374. The 4, Issa Seidu, James Kekose, John Aban, and Peter Archibald Hyde, are due to appear before the High Court, that's a criminal division, sitting in Accra on Monday, 13 February 2023. Presidential Affairs correspondent Elton Broby joins me via Zoom with details of the charge sheet. Elton, from what we've gathered so far from the document, what can you tell us?
So if it looks like the cases are related, if you look at the charge sheet that the OSP, that's the Office of a Special Prosecutor, is presenting to the court, the 4 gentlemen virtually did the same job. And if you look at their backgrounds, for example, Seidu works with the National Insurance Commission. James works with the Office of the Vice President. John and Peter are custom officers. Now, the charge sheet and the issues against them are almost the same. According to the Special Prosecutor, the first, second, and third and fourth accused are public servants. And then there's another person which is a civil servant. So the first, third, and fourth accused are public servants, while the second accused is a civil servant. According to the charge sheet as provided by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the accused are all suspects under investigation in respect of corruption and corruption-related offences regarding the importation from Thailand and auction processes of 250 metric tons of lily rice. Now, the evidence, according to the Office of the Special Prosecutor, will establish that in December 2022, the Special Prosecutor, in the performance of his function, served on the accused, respectively, notice to declare their property and income under Regulation 21 of the law establishing the Office of Special Prosecutor. Now, according to the sheet, the accused were duly notified as per the statutory forms and by cover letters under the seal of the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the seal and mark of the Special Prosecutor that they were required by law to make the specified declaration and return same to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Now, as at the close of business of 9 February 2023, the accused had failed without lawful excuse to return the duly completed statutory form to the Office of the Special Prosecutor more than 30 days after the service of the forms from them. The accused persons have duly been charged with respective offences on the charge sheet. And by what we have, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is alluding to the fact that per records available to them, the remuneration that these public servants enjoy at the end of every month by virtue of their work to the state does not commensurate with the amount of money found in their bank accounts. Furthermore, it says that the importation of the rice, 250 tons of lily rice from Thailand, there's no documentary proof linking their salary to the importation. That triggered the investigation. And the Office of the Special Prosecutor served a notice to clarify the difference in terms of the money available to them, their monthly salary, and what was found in their bank account. And the 30 days elapsed without them providing any evidence to back the excess amount of money in their bank account. That is how the Special Prosecutor arrested them. They've been charged, and on Monday, they will appear before court to answer the charges labeled against them.
Okay, well, this is an issue that we'll definitely be following up on, and we'll bring details. But there's more on this on myjoyonline.com. I'm sure you've been following in the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Elton. There was an issue about the payment of the Special Prosecutor, amongst others, that came up previously. Do you have an update on that as well, since we are talking about the Special Prosecutor?
Well, the issue about salary, as we reported late last year and then early this year, when it came to light that the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the Special Prosecutor himself has worked over 16 months and has not been paid his monthly salary. Now, we also got to know, per correspondence we received, that the Office of Special Prosecutor was asking for some enhanced salary because of the kind of work they do. And that, according to sources at the Ministry of Finance, was the reason why there was delay in the payment of the salary, because with the request that was made by the Office of Special Prosecutor, the Fair Wage Salaries Commission was then brought in to look at the case brought forth by the Special Prosecutor and then determine how this can be done.
Okay.
But as far as the Special Prosecutor salary is concerned, the salaries, the Fair Wage Salaries Commission is of the view, and this is backed by law, that the engagement and the monthly salary must be the same as an appeals court judge. So an enhancement cannot happen unless it is backed by law. But we are told that there's been some kind of arrangement between the office and the Ministry of Finance to compensate them on a monthly basis while the matters raised by the Office of Special Prosecutor are being dealt with.
Okay, thank you so much. That's Presidential Affairs Correspondent Elton will be bringing us up to speed on that particular case. But there's more on myjoyonline.com, like I said. But whilst we're staying on the economy and issues relating to the domestic debt exchange, our editorial this week is on the economy, the debt exchange, and how the general finance of our motherland, Ghana, is being handled. It's presented by Benjamin Apawu. Please.
We are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not. The consequences are dire. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity. We are not people of short sight.
We will not go to the IMF. The story has now changed to this.
Let me truly express appreciation to the IMF in general, and in particular to the IMF Managing Director and management. This is quite historic in terms of the speed in which we have come to this. The path that Zambia, Chad and Ethiopia have gone to, we can see that this is quite a miracle in its making.
Now, we do need the IMF loan, else our economy will collapse. Our vice president accused the previous government of excessive borrowing, but this government has pushed this country into a puddle, or more appropriately, a quagmire of debt. We keep slipping deeper and deeper into the quicksand of our leaders' poor economic choices, even while we struggle to get out. We struggle, yes, but with precious little to show for our effort. The government was forced to restructure its debt and thus came up with this domestic debt exchange program. Mr. President, why are you making people who loaned your government money through bonds so anxious? Why make them beg for what is rightfully theirs, their own money? This situation has compelled pensioners who should be resting and enjoying the fruit of their service to the country, an investment rather, to picket. Left with no choice, they have abandoned the comfort of their homes and are rather pleading with your government not to include them in the debt exchange program. Some will be using the money for dialysis and medical treatment, lest they perish.
I'm an old man. I have so many type of diseases. I can't tell you all. But I spend a lot on drugs. And very soon, I'll start dialysis. And I need my money for it. That's why I'm waiting when the September comes, when I collect my money, I will start the dialysis.
One, I find this wicked, I find it disrespectful, I find it unlawful, I find it totally wrong, period.
President Akufo-Addo, some of these senior citizens are your colleagues in terms of age. Some of these people actually are even older than you are. These people are not young people basking in youthful exuberance. They do not have energy for that. Your mismanagement of the economy, however, has yanked them out of their homes and brought them to the finance ministry begging for their own hard-earned money. Now, let's listen to the best answer the president's cousin and finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, could give the pensioners when they picketed at his ministry.
The fight that we are presumably fighting here is a difference between 15 and 18.5%. The cost of that may be that we may not get an IMF clearance. The challenge that we have is that we have an economic crisis.
Why, we ask, should the elderly sacrifice when your government is living large? People have complained about cutting down the size of your government, but you refuse to listen. You promised to protect the public purse, but that is not what we see.
You and I, you walk around and you see a lot of waste all along. And we don't want to do anything, and you want me to take a haircut. I don't know, with a little bit of hair left on my head, I want it on my head. I'm not going to take a haircut, and I'm not encouraging any Ghanaian to take a haircut.
You rented expensive private jets and refused to tell us how much it cost the taxpayer. Your many appointments are leeching us, sucking us dry. Ghanaians are not asking for too much. We want a drastic reduction in your expenditure. Times are hard for the ordinary Ghanaian. Need I remind you, Mr. President? Through our Living Standard series, we have realized that many people are adjusting their family budgets. From taking cornflakes and fresh milk in the morning, some have switched to maize or millet porridge. Some people are no longer spreading their bread with jam, marmalade, and butter. They are now spreading bread with groundnut paste, while some who are worse off have to take it raw, just as it is. Some have parked their cars and are now using public transport. Some are skipping breakfast and sometimes lunch so they can eat just supper. People are making changes on the daily. That is what Ghanaians are asking you and your government to do. Trim the fat. Cut your coat according to your cloth. Do what is needed and stop the profligate spending now. Mr. President, when you were campaigning, this is not what you told us. This is not what you promised the people of Ghana.
You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Emefa Apawu. With our editorial with Benjamin Akako. Still to come in the bulletin, heated exchanges between minority and majority leadership on the floor of Parliament as the NDC accused the majority of seeking to fraudulently lay the EC's controversial CI.
It is expected that the CI will be laid.
Speaker, I vehemently oppose the adoption of this deceitful, dishonest, and smuggling report.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. We're live on myjoyonline.com as well as all our social media platforms. On to some other stories now. And the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu Dampare, has indicated that long service will not be the only requirement for promotion in the service going forward. At a Deba with service personnel in the Bono Regional Capital, Siaing, the IGP said hard work, performance and dedication will be considered more for promotion or clearance for further studies. He is therefore encouraging police officers in the country to ensure that the image of the service is held in high esteem in the course of duty.
Because this whole idea that we are the people who knows our rights and that why this person is promoted and not promoted, where the laws are there, and you're asking questions about it means you don't read. Don't read your CI. What you should know is something that has never happened before. Has happened on our watch. That type of promotion that was done probably to some few people at headquarters and others, we changed it. Across the country, say at the regional level and each of district, the commanders there know the people who are killing themselves for this job. Identify them. As long as they are at least 2 years in their land, we promote them. We did for almost 600 people. So if your name was not in it, it's either you are the type who think that promotion should be time-based. So, 4 years ago, we are due. But we are introducing another component to give other people opportunity to go to college without writing exam. Performance-based promotion. Everybody who is objective knows that this man is the key investigator of the region. And you bypass him. Say you should go and write exam. The time you use to study and do order, he's fixing problems in the jurisdiction. So he hasn't got time to even to study and revise and go and do true and poor. And you have some unenlightened, arrogantly empty individuals in the service making noise. Why did you take this person to go to college? He didn't write exams. And when he wrote the exam, he didn't pass. Now, if you want to go to college by exam, wait when exams come, go and pass. And we too, we will identify the people who change the fortune of this organization and put them and add them to the people who know only book but not work.
Well, let's analyze this a bit further. Security analyst Mutara Mumuni Mokhtar joins us via Zoom for some perspective on this latest development by the IGP. Thank you so much for joining us. So, performance-based as against long service, promotion. Is the IGP justified with the introduction of this new level of promotion in the service?
Well, first of all, it's not entirely new. In the sense that of course, generally, the number of years of service or years you've spent in the service was generally used, for promotion. So, for instance, when you join, you're due.
Oh dear. Mr. Mutara Mumuni, I seem to have lost you a bit in terms of connection to your internet. If you can hear me, I'm sure you were making a point about performance as against long service, and that is nothing new really, but you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I lost you briefly, so you can go ahead with your
point. So what he's saying now is that they would be more deliberate on promotions based on merit. When I said earlier that it is not entirely new, I was referring to the fact that there have always been some special promotions within the service, depending on some act of bravery or
okay. Well, it appears there's some difficulty in connecting to you, Mr. Mumuni. We'll try again if you can hear me, because the IGP has been making a case, raising concerns about the internal concerns that have been raised by some officers within their midst, that they're raising concerns about why some people have not written exams, yet they've been promoted. The IGP at that meeting also with the Bono regional minister indicated some clandestine activities that some women in the service will have to undertake, and that if such persons are promoted, that should not be a cause for concern. But it appears there are some concerns in there from some people. But this is generating a lot of talk, and the potential of creating internal rift between the senior and junior ranks is the concern that many have raised. Let me bring back Mr. Mutara Mumuni Mokhtar on phone this time because of the connection. So you were clarifying your statement about whether this is really not entirely new, and you were giving examples about how bravery had been rewarded over the period.
Yes, so in the past we have had situations where individuals have been promoted based on bravery, acts of bravery, and display of patriotism. And so hard work and situations that actually exemplify what a police officer should be in terms of service to the state. So we've had those instances in the past. What the IGP is saying now implies that he and his team would be more.
Your call has been put on hold.
Oh dear. So we'll try and establish connection with Mr. Mutara Mumuni shortly. I beg your pardon there, all the noise from my producers in the background. Thank you. But we'll just go on to some other stories on this. But let's see once again. Do we have Mr. Mutara Mumuni back? Okay. Apologies for there. You put us on hold briefly.
Yes. I can hear you.
So you can go on with your point, sir.
Yes. So I think that I agree with him. Promotions based on merit, individual merit and performance. It's important to ensuring professionalization of the Ghana Police Service. In that way, you motivate and encourage people to live up their best. to be their best and offer services that exemplify what a police officer should be in terms of service to this nation. And so on that score, I agree with him, in terms of promotions.
But really, the potential rift that this could cause within the junior and senior ranks also is a concern for many, because it looks like they have not been properly communicated to about this introduction of performance as against long service and exams and promotions.
So in the past, I think we have to look at the issues in the very specific terms, because this problem you allude to has always featured in the police service. There has been many instances where officers are, angry, they are not happy about the special promotions that go on. Junior officers get promoted over others who have been there longer than them. We have always had those issues happening in there. Of course, there's a criteria. People get, they take exams and they get promoted on that basis. So what we are seeing now may clearly be a departure from the special promotions that have often taken place. It may mean that every 4 years or every number of years that they are due for promotion, they would look at your performance, they would look at hard work, they would look at your mandate and how you have executed your duties. And also individuals who have shown exemplary service to the nation would be promoted. I think that is the way to go. That is best practice. And the potential of bringing about rift in the service will be dependent on how we communicate, how leadership communicates this to officers.
Yeah, but if you hear leadership, instead of communicating, describing those who are raising concerns as arrogant and empty, does that solve any problem?
Of course, when I heard the IGP use some words, I was quite taken aback, because you would expect that it would be language that is supportive of the new, approach to dealing with promotions. It would come with a sense of, respect to officers and ensuring that they understand and they support that. So I think it's based on how we communicate this and make this stay as a new approach to dealing with promotions within the service.
Okay, we're grateful for your time. That's security analyst Mutara Muni Mukhtar there. We've been analyzing the IGP's concerns about promotions and the questions that have been raised by some personnel within the service. But let me take you to Parliament, where there were heated exchanges between the minority and majority leadership on the floor over the EC's controversial constitutional instrument. The CI, among other regulations, makes the Ghana card the sole identity document acceptable as proof of nationality. The EC's hope of laying the CI fails, with the Deputy Speaker of Parliament directing that the laying of the new EC's new CI is taken out of the business for next week. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante has this report.
The NDC has been up in arms against the constitutional instrument, warning it will disenfranchise a section of Ghanaians. Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin, presenting business statement for next week, indicated the plan to lay the document.
Mr. Speaker, it is expected that the CI will be laid. It is expected. The Electoral Commission may lay its CI. Parliament has a mandate to scrutinize. Parliament cannot also obstruct a constitutional body from undertaking its work.
However, Minority Leader Dr. Keselatu Forson forcefully argued that no such agreement had been reached by the Business Committee of the House.
To my surprise, I have seen introduction of the CI, which was never discussed at the Business Committee meeting. For the Deputy Majority Leader, who did not attend Business Committee meeting, to stand here and to make a pronouncement that this was agreed upon. Mr. Speaker, I'm deeply disappointed in the clerks in particular.
Indeed, both the Minority Chief Whip, Governor Kwame Agboja, and his deputy, Ahmed Ibrahim, in a fiery response, accused the majority leadership of seeking to fraudulently lay the CI in Parliament.
We will cooperate with our counterparts as much as possible to make sure government business goes on. But Mr. Speaker, little did we know that we cannot trust our colleagues. If we attended a business committee meeting, went through page by page as approved things, only to wake up on the day to see items which were not even discussed. It was not even part of the draft.
Speaker, I vehemently oppose the adoption of this fraudulent, bogus, deceitful, dishonest, and smuggling report which is being presented in this House. Yes, Mr. Speaker, this House of the House will not, this side of the House is not going to entertain any fraud in this chamber.
First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Usu, directed that the laying of the CI is taken out of next week's order of business.
What has not been agreed should be excluded. If you discuss and you agree, the leader can bring another statement on what has been agreed. So I think to make the way forward, let's exclude what was not part of the business arranged for the week and proceed with what has been arranged for the week. I so direct.
So this new CI that the Electoral Commission is seeking to lay before Parliament is dividing members on both sides of the aisle. Whilst the majority, the NPP side, seem to agree to it, the minority say no until certain elements of this new CI are expunged or taken out, they will not back it. Already we've heard from people like former EC boss Kwadwo Afere-Gyan, who says that the requirement to make the Ghana card the sole identity document to enroll onto the new voters register or to enroll on the voters register at any point in time at all is unconstitutional and will disenfranchise a number of Ghanaians. And we witnessed those heated exchanges on the floor today. It is a foreshadowing of what is to come when the EC tries again, maybe next week or the next time, through the majority to lay this document in Parliament. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Away from parliamentary politics, we head to the main political parties now, and the NPP flag bearer hopeful Alan Shermanton says Ghana would have raked in $25 billion revenue annually if its presidential special initiatives, especially on oil palm and textiles, had been taken seriously. He's currently on a tour in the Volta region. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
Some traders at the whole central market singing and dancing to welcome the NPP flag bearer hopeful. Speaking during his tour of the country, he said the NPP needs a flag bearer who can garner 80% of votes in the party stronghold of the Ashanti region, whilst increasing its votes in the Volta region, which is the stronghold of the NDC. He said he's the best person to do that for the NPP, as the people of the Volta region see him as a friend and a brother. So I asked some of the people in the market what they think of Alan Shermanton.
Alan, he's a man, it's his time now. Today now is his season. He has been struggling for a while. Today is his time.
Alan is the best choice for the party at this time, because things are getting too hard. We want somebody who can come and unify the people of this country. Without any hesitation, I am for Alan, and the people of Volta are for Alan.
Speaking in an interview on Whole-based Cool FM, he said the reception at the market was beyond his expectation. He says leaders of the party at the grassroots level will be paid salary and pensions if he's elected flag bearer of the NPP.
That I believe it is only fair that people who work for the party, executives of the party, are compensated appropriately so that they can spend their energy and time and effort to build the structures of the party. If I become the flag bearer of our party, I'll make sure that all executives of the party are on full-time salary, they would have social security, and they will also benefit from a pension scheme. Because I feel that that will build the appetite for our younger people to feel that it is worth sacrificing their lives for the party. You don't need government money to do that.
National level.
All executives. Yes, even to the what we call the police station level.
Alan Shermanton says Ghana would have been raking in $250 billion in revenue if the country had paid attention to his presidential special initiatives.
I talked about palm oil or oil palm. Malaysia learned about the cultivation of oil palm from Ghana in the early 60s. Currently, Malaysia makes almost 20 billion US dollars, 20 billion, not million, every year from oil palm. Now, can you imagine if we as a country take the oil palm industry seriously and we make only half of that? And if we had continued with the PSIs 22 years ago when I introduced the PSIs, by now every year would have been making minimum $10 billion a year. Cocoa has never given us more than $22 billion a year. Never. Bangladesh earns $30 billion every year just from export of garments alone. So if 22 years ago we are taking what I had been talking about, what I had created, garments and textiles, and we're making only half of what Bangladesh is making, that would have been 15 billion plus 10 billion from the oil palm. We would have made minimum $25 billion every year. I talk about this, Prince, because if you want to lead a country, you need somebody who has a big vision.
While as the race for the NPP flag bearership gets heated, the Alan 17 campaign is raising concerns about online attacks targeted at the former trade minister and some members of his team. Addressing journalists, spokesperson of the campaign, Yawabina Samo, said some of the attacks have been reported to the relevant authorities for action.
It's very unfortunate that the Alan campaign is coming under continuous cyber attack. We don't want to apportion blame. We don't want to share the sources. But Alan has been attacked 2 or 3 times, including the notable false story that delegates in the Western North told him things that never happened, including the half-based messaging. But worst of all is the 2 nights ago, the egregious attack on me, where a statement I have never made, will never make, and will never contemplate was ascribed to me with my picture and circulated very, very widely on the internet. A virulous attack on my personality and my person, all because we are pushing a humble, courageous leader to freshen politics in Ghana. Please, 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 the Alan campaign will remain decent. I completely disclaim whatever has my image on it with that nasty message that I will not even repeat here. A message so nasty, I can't imagine is coming out of a political brain, a brain that should be put to good use for the benefit of Ghanaians.
That's Maxwell Agbagba's report. Now, the idea that the Ghana Institute of Journalism chapter of the University Teachers Association is threatening to withdraw from the University of Media, Art and Communication is a non-starter. Those are the words of Vice-Chancellor of UNIMAC, Professor Kwame Kwanzaa Edu, as he reviews his office has not received any official complaint from lecturers concerning the merger, contrary to media report. He spoke to my colleague Faustina Safo in the yet-to-be-aired interview on Joy Campus.
Like every merger or everything, people have concerns. So my understanding is that UTAG GIG had some concerns. They had a meeting where they raised some of those concerns. They were supposed to put things together and meet management, something along those lines. And then somebody leaked the minutes of said meeting. So they didn't even go out. That's what UTAG executives told me. They didn't go out to the media to say this is our story even. So
officially you haven't received the minutes of that meeting?
No, I haven't. I cannot say UTAG has given me ABC, these are my concerns and these are their concerns, and so I am proceeding to respond to them. Because they have not officially communicated that to me, all I know is what was in the media. Most of the stories said GIJ UTAG threatened to withdraw. The idea that GIJ UTAG can threaten to pull out of the merger is a non-starter. GIJ did not create the merger. NAFTI did not create the merger. GIL did not create a merger. We are a public institution, Unimac. For any one part of those in the merger to say we want to pull out and be what? You don't exist as GIJ anymore. If you want to stretch it and extend things, the best anyone who has serious concerns about this or doesn't want to be part of this merger can do is to resign.
Joy Campus will be showing tomorrow at 2 p.m. That's every Saturday here on the Joy News channel. We'll take a quick break. We'll return with Showbiz. I present to you the international Becky Cheneboa Dako, host of E-Vibes on the Joy News channel.
Look
International.
At me.
Everybody, with a round of applause, welcome Becky. What's in
you.
Showbiz?
Well, Roger Beats is in Showbiz. He's an American music producer. I spoke to him on E-Vibes. And he's been talking about his journey in the music industry and people that he would want to work with. He did mention Sarkodie and the rest that he wants to work with. So Roger Beats, everybody.
Check the music scene out, see how I could bridge the gap with Ghana and the U.S. Tap in with some artists, producers, and see how we could work.
Right. Very nice. Great idea.
Yeah.
How did you come by the whole music business? Was it something that you've always wanted to do when you were a kid? I want to
yeah, about that. Yeah, music is something I always wanted to do as a kid. But of course, having African parents, honestly, they want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, go to school. But I did do all that things. I went to school, major in economics, minor in finance, but my love for music was still there. I graduated, went to Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida for recording arts for about like 3 months. And then I got a call from Gucci Mane. And I moved to the A for about 8 months living with Gucci Mane, and that's how my career jumpstarted.
Wow. So in the U.S., it was all about music right after school for you.
Well,
making.
Honestly, it's always been about music. Even at a young age, I done tried out for Apollo, just trying to be a rapper and things like that. Yeah. I played in a music band, a go-go band, which go-go is a drum bass music, DC music. So I played the piano for that band. That's how my name Roger Beat kind of came along.
Roger Beats right there. But Emefa, let's tell our lovely viewers what to expect this weekend. We're so generous. We're telling them where to go. First of all, you should be on Joy News. You need to Joy News for E-Vibes. Roger Beats is still showing on Joy News and Joy Prime. So if you're looking for something to watch on television, is Joy News and Joy Prime is obviously E-Vibes. E-Vibes. And the Love Night concert with Kwabna is coming off, obviously, at the National Theatre. If you haven't gotten your tickets, please grab your tickets. We have some selling here at the front desk of Joy FM. Joy Entertainment, we're partners. And so, Emefa, you'll be going with your lover. Hopefully, if you have, I don't have a Valentine.
I'll get you one.
I'm actually depressed right now.
No, you're not.
With you asking that question.
That's a lie.
And I'm depressed because the second one that I'm about to talk about is also Valentine's Laughter Show at the National Theatre. So somebody should take me to one of these programs. So
you don't need anyone to take you to any of these programs. You know you don't.
So,
you know you don't.
And if you're looking forward to Funny Face, he's on this particular program as well. So it's happening on the 12th of February at the National Theatre. Also, Shades of Love is happening. Shades of Love with Aquaba.
Oh, I want to go to that one.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So it's happening at La Palm Royal Beach Hotel.
Post to me.
So grab your tickets, join Aquaba and his friends there. Let's also, on Valentine's Day, 2 things are happening. That will be on Tuesday, actually. Yvonne Nelson is premiering her Kotoka movie. You should join her at the Silver Bear Cinema together with Majid, Ikuapin Polo, and all the other beautiful cast to watch that movie. We're promoting Ghanaian-made content. You should join in. You should buy tickets. You should learn to buy tickets. Especially Diana Hamilton's show is coming.
Yes.
So
we're all going. All roads lead to experience.
But this weekend, Rihanna, she's performing after 7 years on the Super Bowl halftime show, and she's been speaking to ET Entertainment tonight about what to expect and everything you need to know about the Super Bowl. Well, so we're
Under
definitely
my umbrella.
Okay, is that on your playlist?
No, because we're waiting for Super Bowl.
I was going to ask you what song are you listening to now? Like if I go into
it's always Diana Hamilton, like it's on back to back to back to back to back. That's it. From Jesus to Meditations to everything. And the new mashup is just Diana Hamilton. Like what else will I listen to?
Okay. Great.
Okay. All
Stoneboy will
take
be
us away.
very angry.
Oh, yeah, Stoneboy, Angola Junction, sometimes. But I always meditate, so we have to pray.
Yeah, because you're tired, I'm taking over. We're very grateful for your time this evening, for joining myself, Emefa. She's beautiful. Please. The next person coming should be
Pius
Baka
has prime business.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I am Emefa Apawu, and you are?
My name is Becky.
Enjoy your weekend. We love you.